Alrighty then, a plan has been made over which event I am doing next, and I've decided I'm going to do the 550 Spyder Cup next, because I figured, well, I will have more than enough money afterwards to pay for my Class 1 car afterwards, which I would like to say is no doubt going to be a 911 after doing some research. So I'm going to head back over to the Porsche Center, going to head over to the used car dealership because I can buy a used 550 Spyder from this dealership, and here it is. The Porsche 550A Spyder. Officially, this car was made in 1956, and it is a racing type, and also to add to this, it is a car I can buy for only 36 grand. And I figured, well, why not? And I'm also going to have a look at its condition before we get on with our next race, because I figured, well, why not? I also figured it was necessary for me to probably do some grinding with this thing as well. Oh, that's not where I wanted to be. I wanted to head over to the garage and check its condition, just to see what it looks like. Oh, okay. Oh, hold on. That's not the car I want. That's the car I want. Okay, so I cannot afford the repairs. Oh well, probably doesn't matter anyway, because it's just going to be one race that I'm going to be using this thing, so heading over to circuit racing and the 550 Spyder Cup, and where a majority of the field is using the 550A and Buzz is the only holdout with the lone 550. The 550 not A. And we can win 60 grand if we win this race here at Circuit A. And this is precisely what I'm going to do because, well, don't need to qualify. I'm just going to get on with the race. So it's probably going to be in the afternoon and the weather is nice and sunny as ever. 5 contenders. No change of colour, unfortunately. We're all pretty much driving the same car, except for Buzz, who looks to be driving the 550 Pan America, from what I can tell, because he's the only one with the livery.
3, 2, 1, go!
Ordinarily, I would have chosen to do the tournament event first and then opted to do this afterwards, but I decided under the circumstances it was probably easier for me to do this first, because then I will basically get, because then afterwards I will basically get tons of money for me to spend on my Class 1 car afterwards. And Circuit A, I can easily say, is also a short circuit, and it very much suits the occasion with the fences and the hay bales. It's very much a racetrack of its time. Obviously got these high-speed straights, and I can also tell that those are wooden fences. On to lap 2 we go now, and also I can see plenty of hay bales here. And I'm also quite sure at most racetracks hay bales have technically been banned from racing circuits since, what was it, 1967? Although technically this was a very different time. Plus the other thing you have to remember is, in 1956, motor racing had only just survived following the 24 Hours of Le Mans disaster which happened only last year at the time of when this car was made. I know it's a tragic story, but either way, it's crazy to think how far we've come since then.
You've beaten a lap record for this track. It's the final lap.
And apparently I've also beaten the lap record here at a very periodically based Circuit A, very much suitable for its time, and I can definitely say it's suitable for its time with this car, because I'm seeing a lot of high-speed straights and very few corners. Of course, in those days, if you made a mistake, basically 8 to 9 times out of 10, the mistakes you made had proven to be fatal, then it is fair to say a lot of mistakes in those days.
Congratulations! You've won the race!
You would normally die. But anyway, before I get sentimental about the old days of racing and knowing about how bloody dangerous they were, I'm going to focus on my thumbnail. Don't really seem to get many reasonable shots of this thing unless they're up close shots. But either way, this is not going to take long. I knew this was going to be a short race. I'm also quite sure I'm going to be doing this at least a couple of times to officially give myself enough money to head into the golden era, which I would imagine is going to have more expensive cars most likely. And even though I did this with a worn down race car, I can definitely say it did not stop me from dominating this thing. It's also crazy to think that, well, how far the motor racing world has come in terms of safety since the mid-1950s when this car came out, and when many people had essentially thought for sure, following the Le Mans disaster, many people had thought for sure that was going to be the end of racing altogether. But it is amazing to say that it did not become the end. Anyways, I think I've got enough thumbnail evidence now, so let's go and collect our 60 grand from winning this race. I also really like how they're also able to get the pictures to be dated within their times over which cars we use on the loading screen. But anyways, I get 60 grand for winning, and ultimately money can only be given to the podium winners. Sadly, however, no money given to Shadow or Buzz, who finished last in the lone 550 Pan America. But anyways, I got the money, and it now means I am more than good enough to enter the Class 1 tournament. And here is my first racing trophy. Now we just have one event to go, and that is the Class 1 tournament. And with that, stay tuned for more of Porsche 2000.